Scene 2, we're planning on this being 2 hours long. This will be after a long rest. We have Lannery Storm in the Sunset Wave, and we have the Bloody Duchess with Jamer Darktide as captain, and they are both flying in the clouds, and as they come through, as the clouds part, next thing I know, a ship ho, and the two ships come together. Turns out Lannery and Jamer are not friends when they're as pirates. Yes, but they do respect each other. And I guess we are going to explain to our players beforehand that these will be rival companies, and just in a lot of scenarios, you don't want to just stab your rival. You do want to beat them in every way, but you don't want to murder them. I'm trying to think of
maybe
an
they
example.
were like the whole Ash from Pallet Town and
there you go.
Brock, was that no Brock, that was one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the relationship, like the frenemy type. The witty banter. We are going to have to write actual dialogue for that.
Yes, for them kind of being like, F you.
Which is, that's also why conveniently Chassa was in the opposite cell.
So she can...
Very conveniently.
Yes.
Not at all.
So, the two ships come together and we have a combined combat with both parties. This was when I first read the X marks the spot scenario, this was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, it would be so awesome to have pirate ships, and in my mind I was like, for some reason I was like, airships. But, hey, I love airships.
That's what we're fighting on. That's what we're fighting on.
It is, that's what I'm saying, but I guess I was like, I would be two pirate ships come together and you have an awesome fight, but I was like, it would be better two airships come together and you have an awesome fight. And I envisioned all the players being linked in with some sort of like tether system that hooks onto their belts to keep them from falling off the ship to their death. So if you cross over onto the other ship, you still have this tether. So if your ship breaks away, you just kind of like ride your tether to safety. Now we talked about those tethers being some sort of magical link so that they can go through cordage on the ship or pylons or sails, so they don't get caught up on things. But something like a magical sword could just cut right through that and sever your link to your ship. But I would say it needs to be a silver weapon or something magical. Something you would need.
Well, I like silver or magical. That's usually a null. Silver usually has a nice nullifying
something
property.
You'd need on just something you'd need to damage a, what is it called? I want to say like a were rat or something that's needs a magical weapon to damage it.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Yeah, that sounds good.
So you can be severed from your ship, which we talked about extensively. The possibility of 1 to 2 characters, maybe one per team, ending up on the opposite party, on their opposite ships, because what's going to happen is we're going to let them fight for a little bit. We need a break point, be it time, or the other thing I was thinking was if somebody falls below like 50% HP, we have a cannon go off or something like that to
break up the fighting.
Yeah, to break up the fighting and maybe cause everyone to have a blind situation or something.
Yeah, we also talked about having like some chats of different pirate NPCs. And
yes.
If one captain's like lost all of their chets, then they're like crap, and they have to put hit the buzzer, and that's when the cannon will go off. And then the cannon, though, that's what is going to attract.
Yes, we're going to have a Quetzalcoatl, I don't know how you say it. I always say feather dragon just because I think that's what they call them in Shadowrun. A lot of the times.
Cutie coddle is what I came up with.
Cutie coddle, yes. That's like a chibi version. So have that dragon. They kind of end up in the dragon's airspace, and which pisses him off, and he's alerted to their fight from the cannon fire, and he decides to buzz both of the ships.
Yep, ain't happening today.
So he takes out their balloons, or at least damages both balloons, so that both ships start to lose helium or whatever it is we've decided that keeps them down. So they are going to crash into the jungle, split and crash. So wherever the players end up, we want to try and get them over to each other's ships, but we may have 2 of the players end up on opposite sides. And the reason I want to do that was because I want to see the dynamic, and again, I know that this is a quick mission, We one shot. We don't have a whole lot, but we've already set up some tension because we left one group to die in the cell while the other group went away. So hopefully that'll start to cause some competition. And then we have this fight in the airship that hopefully also will cause some competition. And what you got?
I was gonna say I actually had a couple of ideas about this. Although I'm not a huge fan of switch swapping players, but if we are gonna do it, and you seem really dogged on this one. Is if we do it, I think that during that rest period, I think they should talk about the other, pirate captain or something like that, because, at this point, Darkseid will know that the other one's escaped, and will probably have a good idea. Maybe, Alante works with. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Alante, maybe she, works with Flannery, maybe that's where the bad blood is, and her, him attacking that to get Chess out is. Maybe that's the reason is, Flannery got him put in there.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, she
got her put in there.
Yes, somehow betrayed him during an earlier adventure, and that's what got Chessa put in the Dusk Legion fortress in the first place. And
then on Flannery's side, we could hear that Chamber's been swindling her for years. And she found out, and that's why she put Chassa in there. And then just let the players do with that information what they make. So now they have a secret. Yep. Now they have something that they can use for the other team. Because if we're going to do that, we might as well have a little bit of fun with it.
I like it.
Yeah.
So I guess we're trying to establish. Now the other thing, we have a point later on where the teams will come back together and fight again. And we really could also wait until that point to do a player swap.
Yeah, to the jungle.
With that too. Yeah, the jungle stampede one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know how. Yeah.
So I was like, if it doesn't happen naturally, because the main thing I would think, if both players stay on their own ships somehow and just are ride it out and or want to shoot cannons at each other or whatever, then okay, nobody crossed over. Therefore, we'll just leave it the way it is and we'll go with it. So I don't want to force that to happen. What else we got? Okay, so airship encounter, that's completed. They crash in the jungle. We give them a chance for a short rest right after the crash. And then I have flip sheet.
That's where they
leveling up. Yeah, leveling up at that point. They'll pretty much take their character sheets. We're going to have to do pre-made characters. I want to do pre-made characters just because I don't want to spend an hour before we even start this whole thing building characters. So it's important. Well, I'm going to give my players the option of, you give me a class and a race, and I'm going to give them preference. That's what I was thinking, is there any way, do you think we could fairly give them bonuses for taking Ixalan races? Does that make sense?
I think we give them a choice. We let them choose something reasonable in there. The only thing I didn't want to give them, I did want to go ahead and take vampires off the table tonight.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
And the only reason is because I want that to be a reward possibly for some of the characters for an additional role play kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Or else, or maybe they're not made. They're made into vampires, but maybe they're Dampier or something like that. So because that's a playable class.
Yeah.
And so, or playable race, I should say.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them choosing their class in the race, and we tailor build it for them, because me and you are going to be able to knock that out. Pretty quickly. It's not going to take us an hour. We're going to give them maybe some secrets. Just I would say maybe 2 things to kind of role play off of, and then that's it. I don't think
we don't need fully fleshed out characters.
No, they don't need a fully fleshed out character. They just need something that's built from the ground up. That's they can hit the ground running and really start.
Yep, and I guess I was actually working on that today. That was probably my daily thing. Was they come with, I think, 8 pre-made characters, one of which is a vampire, which is Alante is originally a pre-made character that can, she actually is in the cell and helps them escape. But I like cutting the vampires because it's the reason why they're in the cells, because they're going to be drained by blood, and that's what it says in the mission. They're going to be drained for their blood, so you wouldn't drain another vampire. I guess to me it's like they don't have blood in them, but I guess if they just ate, maybe they do. It depends on how
thirsty
when they
are.
last ate.
Vampires get thirsty.
So I like the no vampires because that cuts out a whole group of things that I would have to create.
Yep.
Because I've already got everything else.
Okay, good.
That's what I spent today doing, was building Sun Empire, which is the Aztec humans. There is the River Heralds, which is merfolk. And then there is the Dusk Legion vampires and one other group, the pirates. So pretty much, if you are not a merfolk or a human, you're gonna be a pirate. So if they want to play a dwarf, it's gonna be a pirate dwarf. If they want to play a dragonborn, it's gonna be a pirate dragonborn. Because the other races only stick with their races in Ixalan because they're just a small tribe or just an this Aztec nation. They don't have other races yet. They're pretty primitive. I mean, and that goes with what this jungle plane is all about. So, if they want to be a dwarf fighter, that's fine. They're going to be a pirate dwarf fighter, I guess, is kind of the end goal of that. They can't be the other races, the other groups, because those groups are very racial based.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I think pirates. The way D&D usually treats pirate is like a backgrounded sailor.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we say, okay, no matter what you are, your background is going to be pirate. But then me and you can play with that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like they have to make. They could be soldier. I'd be okay with that.
That's
pirates
we're building all that. So that's the great part about this.
But I guess I want to give players the option to be like, what would be your preferred race and class?
Yeah, but they're already going to choose that. That has nothing to do with your background.
No, I agree. Background is different, but yes, the background which we will choose. Yes.
So Ixalan treats pirates as a, I guess,
its own faction.
I guess
like the Brazen Coalition.
I was gonna say it's more of like being a member of I was trying to think
like
of
a pirate guild.
Yeah, like a faction is probably the best way to say it. I think you're right. Like a harper. That's what I was trying to think of. Something like that. So that's what I'm thinking is maybe they just have some different things that they get to do if they're a member of that faction. But right now, the only faction that takes on anybody are the pirates.
Yep.
Or maybe they've come over from wherever and they were on a colony ship and they all got taken in.
Yeah, I'm okay if they are like adventurers or whatever. Definitely I'm okay with that because the Brazen Coalition is its own faction. I agree, and you wouldn't be guaranteed to be of that faction. I agree with you.
Maybe that's what Flannery or old Darktide could offer them as well.
Oh yeah, definitely is join the pirate guild of the Brazen Coalition. Definitely that I
join
like
the guild, see the world.
So we level up at that point. We were thinking going from level 4 to level 5 at that point. And then we go into our jungle trek, and this is going to be 2 hours. And they will we're going to build a jungle encounter deck.
It's an encounter deck,
and night stuff. And I don't think we had this last time, but it's everything. I've built, and the main thing is I want to figure out what the composition should be of combat versus not combat.
So this is what I actually had an idea about that. I think it's actually a pretty good idea because it puts a lot of times, and this is the one thing I don't like about this game, a lot of this is on rails. I don't like that. Yep. We all know that. That's nothing new. But what we can do to give this a little bit less of an on rails feel is when we build this encounter deck, we're going to need two. Each of the pirate captains is going to have their own counter deck. And I think it should be based on geographical location. We roll for that. But then what we do is we put each of these encounter decks in the middle of the table for the players to choose from. And one will be a non-combat encounter deck, and the other one will be a combat encounter deck.
Okay.
And what that will allow them to do is have an encounter that they choose, like kind of like what we were talking about the other night about the choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And then we're not worried about dice rolling. We're drawing cards. It's going to be quick. And then they do the thing. They get to feel like the hero on their turn at watch or whenever they're doing whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever they see the thing and run away horrified. But that gives them, like I said, we're doing a lot of combat-y. We're doing a lot of combat, and then we're doing a lot of combat-y things. Because at the first of it, we're combat. At the, in the middle, we're combat. And then now here down at the jungle floor, we have a lot of combat-y things here again.
Yeah.
And then the third part, we have some puzzly things. But once again, they're at the end, combat. Now, D&D is very much combat-driven system.
Yep.
But that was my idea to maybe
like that.
rein that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And that way, if your players want to be murder hobos, they can.
Yes. Oh yeah. If they want to fight, I'm totally okay with it. I guess the main thing is again we're stuck to time. So if they do one giant combat that takes the whole 2 hours, then they did one card. And that's totally fine. Awesome. They did one giant combat. That's probably what they want to do anyway, since they picked that. And but otherwise, they can rip through the cards. And I agree. I don't think they would just do non-combat stuff the whole time, because most of it's going to be like having interactions with the different factions, running into those guys.
I'd say different. I was gonna say we could
running into just
like
random, weird stuff in the jungle.
I was gonna say we could have them run into like maybe they could stumble upon little like little tchotchke things that may help them in the final battle.
Well, yeah.
Maybe
I want items.
They choose like a non-combat and they run into like a spell scroll of invisibility,
or just maybe a partially unearthed chest.
Yeah.
They have to figure out how to get into. They want to just pry it open, and so yes, I want them to find some magical items that will help them in the final battle and stuff during this time. But if they only, I guess that's why I want to encourage them to rip through these cards and get through as many as possible, because the more they can see, the more they will have access to item-wise, loot-wise, fun-wise, etc.
And where I derive fun is with their driving fun. So the main thing is, as long as they have fun, it does not matter how many cards they go through.
Yeah.
It just matters that they had a fun, enjoyed experience with it. And like I said, that was my main thing about Act 2. I really wanted to put a lot of thought into just the overall scope of Act 2. And I wanted to take some of that combat-y stuff down a notch or two.
Yeah. Some of the examples, I'll just run through these real quick. Things I have was carnivorous plants. To me, that'd be like a dex save. It won't be a combat, but just have to get through the giant Venus flytrap type things that try and chomp them. Traveling merchant, if they got some loot at all, at that point they can use it to get, if they have that one, I'd really like a spear or something like that. They can maybe get some of those items that they'd rather preferred weaponry. We talked about the jade totems with having earth and air elementals. I don't want them to just get walloped by those, but I think that will be a pretty cool encounter.
Oh yeah, and especially with the merfolk, this is kind of their area, especially around the rivers and stuff like that. I think those would be. The other thing I thought would be pretty cool is if they found like a conch shell and it called like one of the river guardians to them. Now they're not going to know that, right? Yeah. They just know that they found it's this conch shell. I wonder what happened. What do I want to do with it? And they may never find out.
Yeah. And then the dwarf picks it up and is like,
I was going to say something like burp, and then it's like outside of it, it's like this giant water elemental that just comes
ripping through the
just comes ripping through everything.
Yep. This is River Herald Trader. So this is the Merfolk faction. What I was envisioning is, when you kill this jungle is also going to have dinosaurs. That's kind of the main thing in Ixalan is dinosaurs. If you kill a vampire, if you kill a dinosaur, you will have stuff you can loot off of it. You can get its claws. You want to get cool, like raptor talon and stuff like that. These traders want that type of stuff. They don't really even. They're like, what's money? Like they don't care about this stuff. They want the scales of the raptor. They want the teeth of the raptor. They want the eyes, stuff like that. Maybe. So I want to encourage our characters to kind of like Red Dead Redemption 2 these animals.
I'm a big fan of haber-servalism. And that's something we can write up. Kind of like how much is a T-Rex spleen worth?
And so this is where they can make a relationship with the River Heralds, so that in the end encounter they may have River Heralds assistants that they show up to help. We got giant spiderweb encounter.
I was also going to say I like the idea of us rescuing a River Herald. Maybe he's hung up with some spiders. That's always one of my favorite go-to bad guys because everybody has a very visceral reaction with spiders. Not so much snakes. Weird to me. But.
Well, that's what this one. For the notes for the giant spiderweb, it says a tree with a very sweet-smelling fruit that are actually filled with spiders. So it looks like fruit, but it's a weird egg sac that when they bite into it, spiders run over their face. And like my wife lost her mind when I talked to Jessie about this.
Great.
She was like, "Oh my God, don't even use that on me. I will leave the game." So. Yes, I agree. People have visceral reactions to things like spiders, and that's how you can get that horror element snuck in there. A rickety rope bridge, as the characters get halfway across.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love a rickety rope bridge in a T-Rex-filled jungle?
Well, and then halfway across, there's a drum beat that starts.
I like that.
And they're like, oh, crap. So now it's like, are they surrounded? Do they need, now it's like, hurry to get across the bridge.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no. This one is help a swarm of bees drive a warthog away from this like nest, and this is gonna be this is a weird one, but a sentient swarm, which I think is a thing, right? That's a thing.
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say
a
it is
sentient swarm of bugs, wasps, bees, and when we drive the warthog away from its nest because it has like honey in it, and the warthog wants it, it turns into like a humanoid, and it's like, thank you. I couldn't turn back into a humanoid because I was getting my lunch eaten by this warthog. But thank you for driving them off. And this is now like a kind of a forest spirit that also could be an assistance, etc., something like that.
I think rather than turn it into a humanoid, you might be better off just having a sport
make a
elemental or
face
maybe one of the totems that you didn't notice before. It kind of gives off a nice aura, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, you have advantage on your next attack.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, it kind of gives you a blessing.
And that way you can instantly just, oh hey, everybody gets a point of advantage.
Okay.
Good job.
Nope, I like that.
I love giving away points of advantage. Everybody's like, oh, why do you give it away? And it's like, because I try to kill you.
Yes, yeah, we want them to have it for murder saves.
Good old murder saves.
A small area with sapphires, but the sapphires are actually scarabs that they pick it up and it crawls into their skin.
It's a classic mummy reference. I'm in.
Just what is it, Louis, and he's popping the scarab, but he ends up.
And then next thing he's running through and just smack.
And they don't have to. Well, they would have to take 1 or 2 HP to like cut the scarab's moving up their arm, and they'd have to cut it out. Something like that.
I think that's a failed Constitution.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh hey, now you have a scarab inside your skin.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if they wanted to cut it out, like I'd be like, okay, you take 1 HP and you pop it out.
Yeah,
something like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine
but I agree, it should be a Constitution save first. Then we're gonna have some. I guess we talk about night ones. Like eventually, we have to give them rest. If they're constantly doing combat, especially or something like that. Yeah. We may want to give them a chance to rest at some point.
So this is either where, because like I said, we're at this point we're going off a deck of cards, so we're not worrying about as much dice. The dice is all literally just saves at this point. It sounds like maybe a little bit of inside investigation, whatever their kind of Chomsky things are doing. I don't know if we need to add another layer with the knight. Maybe what we can do is just play into it. If something I find or see something, one of those at night, maybe it's more dangerous or something like that. And I was thinking about just doing 1 encounter at night, and then we're the next day, and then we're there.
Yep.
So make that night encounter like the last one. And if we do want to do 2 decks and have the different night encounters, I'm okay with that because I know you have a ton of stuff. So it's also going to be one of those. Maybe somebody's been kind of quiet, or that person that, because you're going to have one.
Oh yeah.
And that person's like, okay. And then swap out those decks because you're always going to have the people that are like you. They're like, oh yeah, I want to go first. Let me do the thing, and they're going to draw that first card, right? And they're probably going to draw the combat card or whatever. But then you have at least, I would say, and that's the thing that I was going to say about the jungle. I want at least 2 or 3 things to happen in the jungle to kind of show that this took a period of days. It wasn't just a short period of time. You kind of need that to it's like, oh, on day 3 you ran into this. And on the night of day 4, when you're at very close to the edge of this, whatever.
Yep. No, I like that. I guess. I guess main thing is I don't want to run the characters in the ground. If they want to do combats, I want to give them a chance to at least do maybe short rests. I'm not sure. I'm okay with giving them long rests. Really, if if they're ripping through cards and they're doing a good job, let them keep going. And I guess this gives this mission replayability because you can go through that deck, and I've got 40 things here. We're not going to get to all of those, obviously. We hopefully will get to like 5 each or ish.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe per card.
I'm thinking like we'll probably get, and maybe that's the deal, is we just kind of deal with it as like, it's okay. There's 1 and 2, and that's also where we're going to have a talk with the players about. Do we want to let them get all their HP back after that long rest? Because I think we do. If they make it through the encounter, I'm okay with going, and that's a discussion that needs to happen beforehand. But it's, oh hey, after you're done with these encounters, if you survive, we're gonna say that you just get a long rest. Nothing else happens that evening.
I definitely would make it quick. I wouldn't be like, okay, who's first watching that stuff? I almost unless something's really going to happen, I hate. That's probably my least favorite.
Well, that's why I like
period.
the card because you're not. I'm not doing rolls in this one. It's not like it's not like my traditional camp
first
nights.
rest. Yeah, camp nights.
Some people love.
Yeah, I can see how it's fun, especially if it's randomized and stuff like that. But there's part of it, like when nothing happens, you're just like, well, hour 1 and 2, nothing. Hour 2 or 3, nothing.
Whereas
it's like
this puts that agency right back in the hands of the player, and that's where you want.
Yeah. So I guess the answer is and to me, this is the bulk of the adventure: is the jungle exploration and combat.
That needs to be fun.
You're running into you're running into dinosaurs.
Sharknadoes.
You're running into all these different creatures and beings. Is the whole point of going to Ixalan is to interact with these creatures and beings. So, I want this to be the key point. The big battle in the end is great and important, but at the same time, this is why we're doing this.
And we definitely need to have quite a few on those encounter decks of like, need to have the Jurassic Park encounter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You need to have the, oh hey, what does that sound? Oh, that's a giant Brachiosaurus.
Yep.
I mean, oh, that's, a herd of Gallimimus like charging toward you.
Yep.
Or Velociraptors.
Yeah, and that's why I got Ankylosaurus encounter, Spinosaurus encounter, swarm of quippers, which are like piranha type fish things in the river, axe beaks, which are like giant birds things.
Yeah.
We got the shipwreck, and they're kind of going to be bopping along the coastline. I'll put up the map that we're going to be using here during this part of it to show you as we're going from the fortress across to the temple.
Yep.
So.
A sweet map.
Oh yeah, so all kinds of stuff like
Cool.
that. I think that covers everything. That we'll go back to our scenario sheet here.
Yeah.
In the end, once we've hit our time limit of doing the cards, the last encounter is the two parties come together in the jungle because they're getting closer and closer from where they crashed to the temple. So eventually they do bump into each other in the jungle, and we have a second fight in the jungle.
I was going to say, I think right when they run into each other is actually where we should break because we don't have a good. I mean, maybe after this next one, I don't know.
Like we were like, and you walk out of the trees and you see Janitor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then freeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
and then
we break there, and then that way because they will have done at least one combat encounter at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see that going any other way.
Yeah, I agree.
So this gives them a break. They can recollect their bearings. It breaks the immersion a little bit, but you break it on a cliffhanger, so they're more eager to get back still.
Yeah, get back to the table. I'm definitely okay with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this like this. So the long rest
just a maybe.
Right before the parties run into each other.
Yep.
Okay, so the parties again run into each other. A fight begins. As the fight in the jungle happens, little baby, we're talking chicken-sized dinosaurs, or start kind of running through the middle of the battle.
Something like, super adorable too,
like
because I know my wife's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's gotta be like super cute,
like little baby triceratops and stuff.
Oh yeah, like baby triceratops, maybe a little. I mean, I was gonna say, you see little baby Sarah, little baby Littlefoot just running around through there.
Shark Tooth.
And then you see a slightly larger version of Shark Tooth.
Yes. So then we have a stampede of herbivore dinosaurs that rips through there, breaking the again. Lannery is going to say jump over here on this side, and Chamber is going to say over here on this side. So they're going to split the parties back. Really?
Cut.
Yep. This is ridiculous. It's Josh.
What's he want? Come go away. And we're back.
Yeah. So
action.
Yes. Yeah.
This should be fun.
Yes.
If you're not messing with your co-host in some form or fashion, you're not doing it right.
Yes. So the dinosaurs split the groups up. This is where I want to see, after going through the jungle, has that player who got swapped at the original pirate airship battle, do they join back with their original team? And that's kind of that weird human experiment that I want to see. And hopefully we'll get to run this with multiple groups. I want to try and run it with kind of like our families and see how it goes as like a practice run, and then run it with complete strangers to see how they handle it. Run it with our regular gaming groups, see how they handle it, because I've run Shadowrun Adventures that I have run multiple times, and never have they ended the same. They've always gone in totally different directions and ended in completely different ways. But with them joining the bad guys, them joining the good guys, them being like, screw both groups, we're doing our own thing. So we want to kind of see how that plays out, and that's the fascinating thing as a GM for me, is to watch, see what that group of humans decides to do with their characters. Stampede breaks it up, and then we go on to scene 3. So we'll break there, guys, and we will come right back.